Hi friends, I'm Northern Joy, and today I'm going to be giving you my kind of quick and easy, middle of the road stage makeup tutorial. So, feel free to add and subtract and interpret however you want. Let's get started. Some people like to start with their eye makeup first because of fallout that happens. You're putting your eyeshadow on and it starts to just like, you start to get little flakes here and there. Then you may want to start with your eyes first and do your face afterwards. But I always start with an eye primer. I have what you call hooded eyes, which basically means, when your eyelid, your top eyelid smushes. So you can see eye primer is key. I don't use concealer. Sometimes if I just have a few breakouts here and there, I just kind of pack my foundation on a little more dense in that area and put some powder on it to really set it in rather than using a separate concealer. And that's one less thing that has to go in my makeup bag. But for shows, I use a cream foundation and I just smush that everywhere. I use a damp makeup sponge. One thing to remember is to blend down your neck a little bit because sometimes there's discoloration on your cheeks or your chin. I know I have a little bit of redness, so I usually bring my foundation down my neck just a little bit, just to avoid having that harsh makeup and neck line that can happen. One thing I like to remember is that it doesn't have to be perfect. Don't get too hung up on mistakes. Also, typically with stage makeup, bigger can be better. Usually the more the better, the brighter the better, the bigger the better. So I tend to start middle ground, and if I screw up, it's like, well, we'll just keep adding more. I go back with a little translucent powder just to kind of set that first layer in, and again, going down my neck. You may have discoloration or sunspots and stuff on your décolletage area on your neck. So feel free, if you want to take your foundation and your powder down into your chest a little bit too. Just be careful with what your costume or your outfit is like so that you don't end up getting a bunch of makeup on your outfit. Lights, especially if you're in a live performance, can completely wash you out. And so adding a little extra color and dimension to your face is never really gonna be a bad thing, I don't think. You might not need a whole lot. So what I'll show you first is kind of a lighter. I'm using a powder just to kind of brush along the hairline. And then I'll bring that just along my jawline and kind of down my neck a little bit too. Next, I have a handy dandy slider brush, which is cool, so I can actually make it more dense in the bristles. And so I follow above that line, kind of up into my ear and hairline here, and I kind of start, right there and kind of blend forward and back. If you want to add a little slendering to your nose, you can take your powder in a kind of dense brush. And if you don't have a dense brush, you can just squeeze the bristles of a regular brush together. Or even use your finger or a sponge if you want. But I do kind of the tip of my nose and along the sides of my nose. I'll take my translucent powder and I'll blend all of that in just a little bit. If you want serious contour, I have a cream contour that I use, and I'll show you how this looks. So we'll start with the cheekbones because that's usually where I want it the most. And I'll just demonstrate this on nose and cheeks for example purposes, but let's start with this cheek. Take your sponge and just blend that in just like I did with the powder. And you can continue, whether it's powder or the cream foundation, you can continue to layer and layer and layer and layer till you're satisfied with where you're at. Then I'll start in on my cheeks. One thing I always love to do is add a little bit of highlighter kind of on the eye bone. So kind of where you would normally run your concealer, you want to do right underneath that. So I'm just going to take a little, you can do cream or powder. I feel like I have a little more control with creams than I do a powder because they only go exactly where I put them and they don't, blow all over your face. If you want to, some people will put like a hint above their eyebrows or even like a hint just under their eyebrows. Some people will do the tip of their nose. And adding this little bit of highlighter kind of puts back in a little bit of the natural glow that we have powdered off of our faces. Then I will go for a blush, and I have a cream today, but if you prefer powder, do that. I just had this little guy. You know, you may want it, if you've got like nice prominent apples of your cheeks, you can start there. I have a pretty narrow face, so I tend to start about like where my bronzer ended here and kind of blend through that part of my face. I don't want to bring it too far in. You can always start with just a little bit and then continue to add more. If it's big lights, the more the better. I'll put on a more natural amount of blush, and then once I get my eye makeup on, sometimes I'll get my eye makeup on and then I'm like, okay, now I need more blush. Next, we'll get into eyes. Do whatever suits you. I'm just gonna show you a good basic style that I use. I have like this simple palette that I kind of call like my basic. It's good for basic everyday wear, and it's good for shows. And this has a little mirror in it, hi, which is really handy backstage as well. But I'll start with like a really close to skin color base. You can see that's pretty neutral, but it helps to smooth out all the little skin imperfections. Cool. If you like a more smoky eye, sometimes what I'll do is I'll start with like a really dark shadow and I'll blend that really low here on my lid and, you know, maybe bring a little bit around under my eye, and then I'll blend lighter as I go up into my crease and towards my eyebrow. And so I'll start with a really dark shade here, put a medium to light shade here, and then just kind of work back and forth. And then when I go to put on my eyeliner and the rest of my eye makeup, it's all built for a really good smoky eye. What I'll show you today is the more traditional classic pinup looking eye, I guess, where we have a darker crease and a lighter lid. So one trick that I've been doing recently is starting with my eyes open. I've got a tip recently that with a hooded eye, you can see since it's all mashed, start here. So that gives you your basis of where you want that shadow. And then as we blend, we'll open our eyes or close our eyes, tip head back, and blend kind of down into the more actual crease. So I'll show you that here with this eye. I'm also gonna start lighter and grow darker. So I'm gonna be using a mix of this kind of gray and pink to start with. And so again, instead of going straight into the crease, let's go right here. It feels a little weird at first, but you can see then with my eye open, you can see that whole crease effect. And so now that I know I want it there, now I'll blend it across. And I like to pull it into the corner. I think that's a pretty standard thing to do as well, is to pull your darker shade into this little triangle part of your eye here to make it darker on the outside of your eye. I'm also gonna start to bring in this really dark shade just a little bit to really build out that definition more there. I always do a cat eye. I've been doing cat eyeliner since I was like 12 years old. I wear it every day with my daily makeup as well. But one thing you can do if you do like that look is mimic that at the beginning with your eyeshadow just a little bit and kind of start to create that upward dynamic a little bit. And you can, kind of blend it if it's looking a little too harsh. You can also start to kind of bring a little bit under your eye too, a little bit, while you're here and you already have product on your brush. I don't like to do that, like, I won't pick up my dark color and just go under there to start with, but after I've blended in other areas of my eye, I might bring a little bit down. You could do layer upon layer upon layer upon layer and colors and blend and all of that. Most of the time I don't have time for that, so we just do a real simple blend. I'll realize like, oh, like this is more blended, or maybe I came in further on this side and not as far on that side. So I'll just take a minute to kind of evaluate and see, And also, if the light is not even that you're working with when you're applying your makeup, things can look weird too. Try not to sweat it. Once we have that crease color in there, I'll take kind of this medium, this lighter brown here, and I'll use that for my all over lid color, and then blend that kind of up into the crease as well, where we have the rest of the shadow, just to really give it some continuity, and so it's nice and smooth. And feel free to blend some of that up into your kind of brow bone area as well. But you can see how that just, I have a real dramatic look on this side, and here it's much more subtle and blended in. So if you like it to stay more dramatic, what you can do is then come in with your darker again, and then you can just continue. Again, this is where that layering comes in. Just add some more in there. So one thing I love to use are liquid glitter eyeshadows. And the glitter tends to not crease at all, and so it really locks in my eyeshadow. You can do a little bit and blend it out, or you can do a lot and really cake it on, depending on the look you're going for. I've also used like a light, medium gold on the inside, and then done like they have a black glitter and do a black glitter towards the outside. So have some fun with it, or don't glitter at all. If you're not a glitter person, don't glitter. But I just want to show you what it looks like. I'm gonna just put a dab here in the middle of my eye and just blend it out with my finger. And it dries as you're smushing it. So, you may find like, oh, I didn't get quite enough on the outside. We'll dab a little more on. So you can still see the work that we did with the definition in the crease, making it darker towards the outside. It doesn't cover up that work, which is why I think it's still important to do that. Excellent, and then you have a glitter finger. I usually go wipe off, so I'm gonna wipe that here on my leg. So everybody's brows are different too, so do whatever brow you like. What I do with mine is sometimes I'll brush them out, sometimes I don't. I have this handy little brush, so I will brush them out just a little bit. And then I will extend my brow out, because I'm also doing a cat eye, and I usually bring mine out kind of here where you can see the eyeliner comes out. I'm gonna bring my eyebrow towards that. I'm gonna try to kind of mimic brush strokes so that it's not that tightly defined. Ta-da! One of my other tips is the 10-foot rule. It only really needs to look good from about 10 feet away, because most of the time people are not gonna be spending a lot of time this close to your face. So as long as it looks good and even from 10 feet away, you're doing good. Okay, now let's do eyeliner. I feel like I've used everything there is, and my favorite is to use just a plain old, that's like a Sharpie. But I have gotten pretty confident with my cat eye since I've been doing it for so long, and I feel like I do it different every time. Just do whatever you're most comfortable with. Go in smaller, feathery kind of motions like I did with my eyebrows, and then you can blend that together. If you're someone who likes a very, very thin, fine line, you may want to look up a different kind of technique. You're probably never going to end up with twins. Your eyes are probably shaped just a little bit differently, even if it's subtle. You want them to look like sisters. So as long as they're close and they're definitely in the same family, you're good. And I'm gonna start with my flick. And I'm gonna start from that corner point of my eye. And since I kind of already did that thing with my shadow, you can see where I kind of blended it up and out. That's kind of the shape that I'm gonna follow. It's kind of from the bottom, and corner of my eye and up towards my eyebrow. And so that's why I like that I went ahead and did my brows already, because I can see where I'm going with my brows. And so I don't want to pass that point, but I want to go towards it. And they're gonna like just brush past each other in the hallway. I'm literally winging this. I'm just gonna wing it and just kind of go for it. And then whatever that one ends up being, I'm gonna try to mimic that on the other side. Okay, are we even? Maybe close, a little bit, kind of. Yeah, They're sisters, cool. And traditionally I would close my eye and start to come across with that. But one thing I've learned too is if you have hooded eyes, your eyelid can get in the way of your line and it can look broken. So one technique that I recently learned is to actually do the eyeliner with your eyes open, just to come across on that top of your flick back in to establish that top line. It works better with a marker because it takes almost no pressure to come across, but let me show you what I'm talking about. I'm actually not gonna start it all the way out of my flick because I still want a really thin flick at the end if I can manage it. So I'm actually gonna start in just a little bit so that I have room to continue blending out, not if, but when I screw up and have to end up making it bigger than I intended. So you'll see I'm gonna start in a little bit, I'm gonna open my eye up, and I'm gonna come straight, see this line right here across my crease? I'm gonna go straight over that. So now you see I have this ugly, fat, gross, basically smudge on my eye, but that's okay, because you can see here where it starts to connect with my first flick. And so that's what I'm going to now build out so that it creates that nice wing. And then I'm gonna come across and blend that in towards the center of my eye. So you can see once I filled that in, it looks like a good flick. And whether I open my eye, blink, close, it should, hopefully, still look like a good winged eyeliner and not look broken or misshapen, even though it felt like it when I first put it on, right? Cool. Now, as far as blending in towards the center of your eye, I keep it thick kind of against my iris here, and then once I pass my iris, I thin it out towards the center. So now we have full eyeliner. And if you want to, if you need to smooth it out more or you want to make it bigger, just keep adding to that line. Literally just keep adding to it and making it thicker and thicker as you go. Cool. If you want to, you can add more under eye. It depends on the look that you're going for. I will take kind of a small brush or a compact brush, or if you have like one of those softer kind of waterproof gel eyeliners, you can really start to kind of smoke out or add dimension underneath your eye. This is a crisp eyeliner, so I wouldn't want to go too smoky under there. So I might just take like a little pink, I might mix like a little of my pink and brown, and I'm now just gonna kind of come underneath here just for a little added definition. So you can see it's pretty subtle. And then if you want to, sometimes I have like one of those, bright eyes, waterline pencil things that you can put along the bottom waterline here to add a little extra brightness there. Nice. Next, I'm going to do my mascara. Even with my falsies, I don't want a bunch of blonde lashes sticking out underneath my false eyelashes. So I'm still gonna put mascara on. I have a magnetic set. I'm not gonna put them on today because there's so many different kinds and glues and all of that. That's a whole other tutorial and personal preference. So I'm just gonna put mascara on. I do my mascara in layers and I don't curl my eyelashes because you'll see they build up and they're really long, but I will do a couple of layers. So as it starts to dry a little bit, I kind of use that as almost a primer and a setting layer. And then once it dries just a little bit, I'll come back and add another layer, and I go slow and I kind of build up and I go for a curved effect. And I kind of blink my lashes across the brush, and so it's almost like a reverse, roller brush. Primer layer done. Let it set for a few minutes. Okay, layer 2. Yeah, see, suddenly lashes. Okay, so that's the main face. I wait and do my lipstick last. I wanna drink water. Maybe I want a Red Bull. Maybe I need to eat a granola bar. Like, who knows? Now is a good time to reassess. Do I need more brow? Do I maybe wanna make my eyeliner a little thicker? We can do that. More blush. Maybe I wanna add more highlighter now. Oh my gosh, I forgot my setting spray. So do your setting spray before your mascara if you can, because depending on your mascara, sometimes they do not play nicely together and it can make your mascara run. But grab yourself a setting spray. Let's preserve the beauty. I try to hold it out far so it doesn't just spit on my face. Let that sit on there. Does it really help keep the makeup on? I don't know. Does it help keep you from being shiny? I don't know, but it makes me think maybe it does, so I use it. So yeah. Okay, lips. So for lips, I love a liquid lipstick, and this one is my favorite. If you love liquids, I like them because I feel like they go on really bold and really crisp and they stay on really well. I'm gonna use a regular red lipstick today just because it's faster. The liquid is like a wild animal where you have to move quickly but very delicately and really work it in to get the right shape. Whereas there's a little bit more forgiveness with a traditional cream lipstick. I do recommend a lip primer or a lip liner. So I always use this all over lip primer. If you prefer a liner, you can just, do close to the same color as your lipstick and go, line around your lips. And a lot of people will recommend to go not just on the lip, but a little bit outside of your actual lip so that you get the illusion of a bigger lip. And so I am gonna do that with my translucent primer here. I'm gonna just zhuzh that all in. Also, I come on the inside a little bit because one thing, your teeth, the dampness of your teeth will wipe your lipstick off. Yes, your lipstick will probably get on your teeth. Do not put your lipstick on and then run straight out on stage because you will likely smile and have lipstick on your teeth. So do give yourself 5 minutes doing this to try to find the lipstick to get off your teeth before you start the show. I usually start with the center of my lips because that's like the most important part, your pucker. So do your little pucker first and then blend outward. To get a little more definition along the outside of the lip, I will use if you still have a pointy or pointier end on your lipstick, use that to create some definition along the outside. I will wipe the corners of my lips here, just to make sure it's even. And then, that's it. So that's kind of my base stage makeup look. I do prefer mine a little more bold, so I will use my darker colors and more, yeah, you can see it's a really nice, just basic bright look. Plus lashes, of course. And if you have any questions, of course, ask me anytime. So thank you so much, and I hope to see you on stage soon. Bye.